Welcome to First Date, a panel talk show on the Reader Seeks Romance channel that celebrates debut romance authors with recent and upcoming releases. I am your matchmaking host, Liz Donatelli. It is a thrill for me to introduce 4 new romance authors who will set your hearts aflutter with their summer 2023 debut romances. Civil litigator turned law school administrator Regina Black is the author of The Art of Scandal, pub date August 1st. Entertainment Weekly writer Maureen Lee Lenker is the author of It Happened One Fight, pub date July 11th. Singer and theatrical performer Dominic Lim is the author of All the Right Notes, pub date June 6th. Award-winning playwright Julie Soto is the author of Forget Me Not, pub date July 11th. Welcome, authors, and congrats on your debut romance releases.
Thank you.
Hey.
Hi.
Let's begin, as all first dates do, with an icebreaker. Tell me something about yourself that others would be surprised to learn. And you're not allowed to use anything I mentioned in your intros. Dominic.
Yes, I love going first. I just thought about this the other day. The majority of the acting gigs I did while in New York involved drag in some form or another, and I have no idea why.
So you say it like it was an accident.
I feel like it was.
Okay.
It wasn't like my intention.
Really? Could you share what performers you embodied on the stage?
It was just whatever characters they would hire me for. They were always like, you know what would make this character a lot better is if you wore a dress. Just like, okay, fine.
Okay.
Don't know what it was about me at the time.
Regina.
Well, I'm an identical twin. Yes.
Oh.
And I'm also married to an identical twin.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome.
That's a story in itself. I do hope that's a future novel.
Well, it's funny. I have not written anything about twins, and I think that's weird. I think I will, but yeah, I haven't written a single thing about twins. I don't know why that is.
Wow. All right, Maureen.
I'll say, I don't know how surprising this is because my debut is a historical, but with my love of entertainment and old Hollywood, I think people would be surprised to know that I have a master's degree from Oxford in Elizabethan history.
Was that something that you always knew you wanted to study, or?
Yeah, I grew up really obsessed with Shakespeare and the Tudors and Elizabeth I and all of Henry VIII's wives. And that was sort of my focus in undergrad. I was a double major in film and history. And I thought I wanted to be a history professor. And that was the area that I loved, classic Hollywood. But then in terms of history with a capital H, that was the area that I was most fascinated by. And
wow,
my first novel that I got my agent from is Elizabethan. So, but it didn't sell.
But do you think you would return to that?
No, if somebody wanted to say it, sure.
Okay. Julie, what do you have for us?
I'm not sure if it's a surprising fact, but it's a cool fact.
Okay.
I've been to the Tony Awards twice. Yeah, I knew Dominic would.
What?
Why I oughta.
Really? Which years? Was it
pre-pandemic? So it was the year that Josh Groban and Sarah Bareilles hosted, and then the following year with James Corden.
Wow.
And because I was working ticketing for the Tony ticketing office, so I got to see like where the chunks of people sit, and it was really it was really funny because we'd have to be in charge of making sure people weren't going to the bathroom before their category.
Right.
So it's like we have to, at every commercial break, we had to walk down the aisle and make eye contact with these like big name Broadway people. And like thankfully they assigned me to the costume designers and the lighting designers, who I find very intriguing, but like at least I didn't have to like look Adam Driver in the eye and tell him he can't use the bathroom. Yeah.
I used to do that for the Oscars, and I had to take Benedict Cumberbatch to his seat, and I was not coping well.
No.
Oh my God. Did he make any pleasantries with you, Maureen? Did he acknowledge you? And
Yes, I mean, he thought I had a lot more information than I did.
Right.
A lot of questions about the production and where he was supposed to be at what time. And I'm like, I'm going to try to get that answer for you.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Wow.
Cool.
That is very impressive. Here we go. I'm going to set the scene for you. You have just scored a meeting with book club tastemakers, Oprah, Jenna Bush Hager, and Reese Witherspoon. They are giving you 2 minutes each to pitch your debut romance to them. Go.
Here is It Happened One Fight. If you may recall, a couple years ago, there was an interview where Winona Ryder said that she thought she married Keanu Reeves for real on the set of Dracula because the wedding ceremony was completed in full by a legitimate ordained Romanian priest. I am the reporter who did that interview, and I started thinking, what would happen if this happened in real life between two actors? But instead of them being like buddy and totally cool with each other, they actually hated each other. And then I found out that in the 1930s, a man named Neil Dodd, who was a real reverend, frequently played reverends in classical Hollywood films. And I've always been a devotee of classic Hollywood, so I thought, and what if these two movie stars who hated each other accidentally were married for real in the golden age of Hollywood, when to get a divorce, you needed to go to Reno for 6 weeks. And that is how Dash and Joan were born. And that is the story of It Happened One Fight.
Hello. Thank you for having me. My book, Forget Me Not, is about a young up-and-coming wedding planner named Amma who has been struggling to build her brand in the wedding industry. She's just started off on her own, and she is excited to kind of launch her career. And she gets the opportunity of a lifetime to work on a celebrity wedding, a wedding that'll be featured in People magazine, that will be highlighted online. The only catch is that the couple has already chosen their florist, Elliot, the man whose heart she broke 2 years ago. So it's a second chance romance, a little bit of enemies to lovers and forced proximity with co-working together. And it's a bit of a persuasion retelling where you have to come back together and pretend like you meant nothing to each other, or that you haven't met before. And one of my favorite parts about this book is that it's set in my hometown of Sacramento, and I pick and chose a lot of inspiration for the weddings from my friends' weddings, from wedding venues I've been to, my favorite coffee shops, things like that. So it's a very grounded book, I would say, especially in Sacramento.
The Art of Scandal, I always describe it as if Shonda Rhimes rebooted The Good Wife, you'd have The Art of Scandal. It is about Rachel Abbott, and she is the perfect mayor's wife to Matt Abbott, who is the oldest son of this influential family, and he's a rising star in the Democratic Party, and he's the mayor of this affluent DC suburb, but it's a stepping stone. He's got his eyes on the White House, and he's this super charming, progressive, white politician that is married to Rachel, who is the perfect Black trophy wife. And when the book begins, she is throwing him his 40th birthday party, and their marriage is already strained, but she receives an explicit text message from him that she quickly realizes was not meant for her. And so they're on their way to divorce, but he cannot afford a messy split in the middle of his re-election campaign for mayor. So she uses that to her advantage because she has an airtight prenup and says, well, if you give me $1 million and the house, I will keep my mouth shut and keep pretending to be this perfect wife for you. Yeah. And he accepts that deal. But the problem is that she meets this young artist who's about 10 years younger than she is, Nathan Vasquez, and he pretty much throws a wrench in her entire plan. And so ultimately she has to decide whether this passionate love affair that she has found with this new man is worth risking everything for. So
my book, All the Right Notes, is a queer Asian rom-com. Not many of those, by the way, about a Filipino pianist and composer named Quito Cruz and his second chance romance with his high school choir buddy named Emmett Aoki. It takes place in 2 timelines, one when they meet in high school choir, and then 20 years later after they haven't spoken, when Emmett is now a Hollywood heartthrob, and Quito has to ask him to sing for a benefit concert for his dad's retirement because Quito's dad was their choir director in high school. So it's second chance, it's forced proximity. There is only one bed at one point. So a lot of tropes in this one. It's my first, so I figured I'd just pack them all in. Yeah. And it's based on a lot of my experiences as a musician and an actor working in New York and in San Francisco. And I think everyone's favorite character from it is Quito's best friend, who is a non-binary / trans black drag queen named Ujima. And she basically steals every single scene that she's in when she's in the book. So awesome. She helps Quito and Emmett and Mr. Cruz, and there's a lot of Filipino food in it, a lot of music. And it has an original song that you can find on YouTube that I co-wrote just for the book. So
whoa!
It's also in the audiobook as well, because the audiobook narrator is a Broadway singer, so he sings all the stuff in it. His name is Aaron Albano, and he was in the cast of Hamilton. He was in the original cast of Newsies. He's Filipino like me. He's also queer like me. And 20 years ago, we did Miss Saigon together. So it was just total, small world experience.
I just assumed you would have done the audiobook narration.
I thought about asking and audition. I think I would have to audition for it, but the studio is in New York and I'm in the West Coast. And it's a lot of time. I mean, it takes a long time to record an audiobook. True. I'm sure you guys know that. So I just didn't have the time either. So, I mean, I completely trusted Aaron to do a great job, and he did.
Excellent. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Let's read out opening lines. I'm going to begin with Regina. Does this open at the 40th birthday party?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was hoping it would.
When your husband of 13 years sends a close-up of his erect penis, you should not, under any circumstances, ask him why he sent it.
Dang.
Wow. Okay. Who wants to go next? Julie.
I have 5 rules for planning a successful wedding. Lies. I'm sure there are more, but if I said I have 76 rules, sit back. I think I would have lost you.
Do you have any experience with like event planning or anything in that area?
Nope.
Okay.
No, I with theater management a little bit, and that kind of putting on a good show kind of experience, but nothing specifically in weddings.
Okay, Maureen, opening line.
Yeah. Okay. So my book actually opens with a newspaper article, but I'm going to read the actual first line of prose.
Okay, that's fine.
Movie stars did not, as a rule, hide in the bathroom.
That leaves Dominic.
I love how everyone's first line is like so clearly the intro to their book. It's great. I don't think mine's any different. Emmett Aoki walked in after sixth period had already started, landing like a bomb in the middle of Handel's Hallelujah chorus.
Ooh, nice.
Love it.
So which tropes do you use to tell the love story between your main characters? This is also a chance for authors to share with me which tropes they've created. Feel free to claim a trope as your own.
It Happened One Fight features enemies to lovers. It features a marriage of convenience, but not between the main characters. It also features forced proximity, and within forced proximity, it features a trope, not that I created, but that I put my own twist on. Instead of there's only one bed, it is there's only one bungalow.
Oh, that's very Hollywood. Only one bungalow. Oh, okay. Julie, why don't you tell us
Okay.
what tropes?
In Forget Me Not, it is definitely a second chance romance. There's a little bit of enemies to lovers and a lot of grumpy and sunshine for sure. I think the tropes that I created include Chekhov's Bluetooth and anaphylactic shock as a romantic
Like as a meet cute?
In a way.
I was not expecting that, Julie.
It's a brand new trope. It'll be everywhere next year.
I think so. Was the anaphylactic shock from like Peanuts? Like I'm just
Peanuts. Yeah.
Okay. I was
Kind of.
wondering if you picked something
Mild
random.
spoiler alert. Yeah.
Okay. Regina.
In The Art of Scandal, definitely age gap, older woman, younger man, forbidden love for sure. Lots of secrets, longing looks, that sort of thing. There's a secret identity trope in here.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't expect that.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that in here. He falls first, most definitely, completely. He's gone over her. Oh, drunken confessions is one of my favorite tropes. I think it's in every single thing I write.
Dominic, are you last
And
again?
last again.
All right. So you did mention tropes. If you could mention them again, and if there's
Yeah.
anything new you can claim.
Yeah, so all the right notes is second chance, enemies to friends to lovers, forced proximity, there's only one bed, and also something I call awkward a cappella erection hug.
Whoa.
Fabulous. Absolutely fabulous.
Let's talk about heat levels. Where does your novel fit? Sweet, sexy, steamy, safe word. Safe word obviously being erotic, BDSM, sweet being chaste kisses, closed door. And then sexy and steamy, sexy being, graphic, steamy, more graphic. Regina, where does your novel fit in that scale?
I would definitely say steamy. It's a hard question because, like, from my point of view, it's kind of tame, but no, I think from the feedback I've gotten, what everybody said that's read it, it's pretty steamy. So,
Dominic, what's the heat level?
So it's pretty sweet. I mean, what's the one up from it? Sexy?
Sexy.
I mean, it's almost there because there's a sex scene, but Aaron, who's the audiobook narrator, said, "Thank God that your sex scene is just a bunch of musical euphemisms because my mom was there when I was recording the book."
So it's a pretty closed door then, really just like kisses and they go into the bed and disappear type of thing?
No, okay, so maybe it's a little bit more than sweet because you do get the whole
sexy.
scene. It's just
Okay, so we'll go with sexy.
okay.
We'll go with sexy. Okay.
Sexy. Musically sexy.
It's musically sexy. Maureen.
Yeah. It Happened One Fight. I'm gonna go with sexy, but you just turned on the shower. So like you could still see yourself in the mirror, but it's a little steamy.
Oh, I like that description.
Yeah.
Because there is a extended open door sex scene, but that is really the only sex scene in it.
Okay. Well, Julie, that leaves you. Where do you end
It's
up?
me. I think we're at steamy. I like this scale because whenever people use the little chili peppers on Book Talk or Instagram, I'm like, well, what does 4 chili peppers mean to you? You know, I'm shocked at the range that people have with chili peppers. But
Yes.
I think I'm steamy, probably right in the middle, steamy.
Oh, mid-steam.
Yeah.
Okay. What topics did you research to write your debut romances?
Wedding planning. I have a friend who runs an event venue in Sacramento. So I got her perspective as a venue manager. And I have a friend who used to be a wedding planner's assistant, which is where Amma kind of starts out before she branches off into her own career. So she had a lot of great input, not just on like, you know, from base level, like what scenes are there to include, like how many vendor meetings, how many, you know, this, that, and the other,
Yeah.
but also to the point of like her feelings as an assistant that wasn't getting enough credit for her work. So that was a really interesting, you know, perspective to have. And then Elliot's a florist, and I also know nothing about flowers. So I did a lot of research, but also I kind of just went with flowers that I like and that I find interesting, and playing with, you know, if I came across an arrangement that I thought was cool, I would go in and research what are all these flowers so that I can talk about them. Um, that was kind of those are the big things, is wedding planning and floristry.
The research sounded pretty fun. It
Yeah.
didn't sound grueling. It sounded like you got a well-rounded point of view on it. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
just something that you read about in the book. You really got to know even the, you know, not so fun parts. Well, Maureen, I know, as you mentioned, I mean, you've got the credentials in history and old Hollywood entertainment. Did you do a lot of research, or okay?
Yeah, I mean, a fair amount. I already felt like I had a good grounding in the period. I revisited or watched for the first time several films from the era, but particularly revisited It Happened One Night and The Women. The primary area I had to do research is that I didn't know a lot about Reno in this time period, and it's changed a fair amount in that time. But luckily they have the city has amazing historical resources online. They preserve a lot of photographs and information on their city websites.
Wow.
And discovered a lot of fascinating stuff about what they called divorce ranches, where people would go and stay on a ranch for the requisite 6 weeks that they had to wait to get residency and get a divorce. And there was a whole cottage industry built around this, like cowboys who were there to, you know, take women out for horseback riding and trips to the lake. And Reno was really its own little community in the 1930s that was very transient because people would come for 6 weeks and then leave.
Yeah.
But then you also had people there who were sort of serving this transient population. And so I would say that was the area I spent the most time researching. And there's just really fascinating stuff out there. Like pictures of Clark Gable winning a fishing competition at one of these ranches and things like that. And I'm blanking on the name of it right now, but I read an out of print novel that was published in like the late 30s, early 40s that follows like 4 or 5 different divorcees and their journeys in Reno, to really sort of get a sense of what people of the era were writing and thinking about that situation and that scenario in that time. And it's also a plot point in The Women as well. So.
Wow.
I am astounded. That is absolutely fascinating. And I have an idea. I think that the four of you should do an anthology called Divorce Ranch. And within that anthology, each of you write a story pertaining to a couple that's on the ranch waiting. And and
That's a good idea.
It's really, I love Divorce Ranch.
there you go, Divorce Ranch. All I ask is a little nod to Liz Donatelli and acknowledgement in the back. That's it. I think that because there's got to be just tons of stories from that. Incredible.
Yeah, and I mean, they had a hotel, they had places you could rent in town, so there were a lot of options for where you could stay in Reno if you were going there to try to secure a divorce. There's also just all these weird traditions, like women used to throw their wedding ring off of the bridge across from the courthouse, and it's now been dubbed the Bridge of Sighs because, like the bridge in Venice, except you would throw your wedding ring off the bridge. So it's just amazing, like how much sort of tradition and community arose out of this like seemingly negative thing.
Yeah, that's absolutely fascinating. Wow.
I love that. Yeah.
Regina.
So I'm going to blame my professional background as a lawyer. I do so much research for my books, and like I'd say about 25% of it ends up in the books, but I just enjoy it so much. And I'm always writing about people who do things that I have never done in my life because I don't know, I'm a glutton for punishment. I think I don't know why I do that. I've never written about a lawyer. I don't know.
You need to write about a lawyer and twins too.
That's what I was going to say, like a lawyer who's a twin. That's my next book. So this is about art. Like Nathan in the book, he is an artist. He's a visual artist. I do not draw. I do not do visual art. Rachel used to be a photographer, and she is a collage artist. I'm not a photographer. I don't make collages. So I did a ton of research on not just creating visual art, but like the history of modern art, because my main character also has a degree in art history and was going to be a curator. And so she knows a lot about it, and she has these conversations. And so I read books and books and books on like modern art, Black art, photography, that sort of thing. My brother-in-law is an artist. I talked to him. I even got a bunch of art supplies and drawing things and did art classes just so I could just have that tactile knowledge when I was writing Nathan, making his art. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. I did legal research for Rachel's divorce in Virginia because I don't live in Virginia. And that became a big part of the plot. And so, yeah, I did. But the art, I think, was the biggest area that I did quite a bit of research to make it feel believable, hopefully. So.
Are you a Virgo, Regina?
No, but I've got those tendencies.
Okay, because your level of research would be what the level I would do, because I love research and all that, and I'm a Virgo. So I just figured, are you a Capricorn?
No, I'm Pisces. So I just get emotional about my research, I guess.
That's interesting. I would not have guessed. Okay. Is anyone else a Virgo? No. Capricorn? Libra. Oh, Libras. Yeah.
This should be one of your party tricks, one of your games that you do on the show is at the end of the episode when you know everyone, you try to guess their zodiac.
I have tried during just regular interview, like, are you a Virgo? And sometimes I've been right. But yeah, I should do that.
But Joan's a Capricorn, so
nice. Yeah.
Capricorns are intense, hardworking people. All right. So Dominic, what kind of research did you do? I mean, a lot of this is based on your own your lived experiences. So I'm curious to know what you needed to research, if at all.
I am not like Regina. I am lazy. So like I wrote a book I can write in my sleep, basically. No, I mean, it was mostly about music and theater. What I did do actually was I wrote my own experience as a Filipino American, and Mr. Cruz, Quito's dad, is Filipino. He's an immigrant. So what I did after the end is I consulted believe it or not, a Filipino sensitivity reader, even though I'm Filipino. Right. So I had her kind of go over his dialogue, what he would say, where he came from, and she did find a few things that didn't, jibe with her. Even as minute as like, okay, at dinner you have this food and this food, and we would never eat those two things together, really. I'm
Mm.
like, oh wow. I mean, growing up, I have no idea. And the other thing too is Ujima is sort of based on two people I know from my life. They're both Black. One is trans and one is not. But I knew that character had to be like, so I worked with a fantastic sensitivity reader named Cleopatra Peterson. They are they them, and here's the thing, like I had to sort of convince my editor to say, like, we really need this person. I really need to be rock solid on what they are like and how they are presented, especially because they're kind of the comedic character, and they're a little over the top because they're a drag queen. So it had every opportunity to tip right on over into stereotype.
Yeah.
So we worked really. She gave me some fantastic notes, or they gave me some very fantastic notes. I'm sorry, and I was so happy with that relationship because yeah, and they were brutally honest. One of the scenes was like, "You cannot say this. Like, you cannot have this in here.
Oh,
It's
okay.
offensive." Yeah,
Wow.
and I had zero clue. Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually thought that it was like it was nice. Like I thought it was paying a compliment, and they were like, "This is it. The way that you say this, it reduces how we see gender. It's reductive."
Okay.
And so I was like, "Thank God I talked to someone about this."
Well, that's a true testament to the importance of writing thoughtfully and to having the right people on your team. Who did you dedicate your debut romance novel to? And if you're inclined to share, why?
I dedicated mine to my mom. And it says, for Mom, for being my first editor, reading countless bedtime stories, and teaching me that books are always the greatest reward. And I mean, my mom has just been my greatest cheerleader and support my whole life. And when I wrote my first picture book when I was 7, like stapled it together and really indulged my bookworm and my tendencies to want to be a writer. And the comment about books are always the greatest reward. Whenever I would do something good at school or do something that she thought deserved like a little extra reward beyond just verbal praise, we would go to the bookstore and I could pick out a book. And so in a very like Pavlovian way, my brain associates like good things and rewards and success with books and reading. And so I thought that was really fitting for my first book in this sort of being a professional reward and achievement in a sense.
Yeah. When you told your mom that you dedicated the book to her, what was her reaction?
Oh, she was so excited and really surprised. Yeah. And I think she sort of knew before she saw the book that it was going to be dedicated to her, but she didn't know exactly what I wrote. So.
Oh, wow. That's special.
My dedication is pretty sparse. It just says to Angel. Angel is my twin. And the reason it's sparse is because it's just my person. I tend to be kind of like a very private person. And I had this long kind of emotive like dedication, and I just deleted all of it. And so, but it's like, she knows. The reason I told it to her is because we are both writers. We've been writing forever. We both went away from it for a long time around the same time. And I came back to it first, and I've been harassing her to come back to it too. But she is my first and forever critique partner for writing. It's when you have a twin that writes, she basically thinks exactly like me, but she's more objective. She's like the absolute perfect critique partner. And so I can send her things and just this book, and she'll go, I know what you were trying to do. You didn't do it. And I believe her. She knows exactly what I'm going for and where the problem is. And she's just invaluable. And, she's just my biggest cheerleader and biggest supporter. And it was just a no-brainer to dedicate my first book.
Wow.
to her.
What a fabulous resource you have at
Oh,
your
yeah.
fingertips.
Yes, I was on the phone with her the other day, like, okay, I need you to fix this. And she fixed it. So.
Wow. So identical twins make the best critique partners and
Yes.
writing partners.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
maybe
your brain, but better.
your brain are better. Well, I hope there's a future collaboration moving forward. That'd be cool.
Yeah, we've been talking about that. So
Nice.
That's nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. Julie, go for it.
Sure. My book is For Mar and Kat. Thanks for holding my hand under the table all these years. And Mar and Kat are two of my closest friends. I'm from fandom. I started out in fan fiction. So they were my first editors in fan fiction. They kind of worked with me through my largest fic that lasted like 18 months. So like every 2 weeks they would go in and like make sure that all the loose ends were tied up and that everything was there, and we were just this nice little team. And the line about holding hands under a table is a direct call out to that fan fiction from something specific from it. So it was a multi-layered dedication.
Oh, I like it. Excellent. Well, Dominic, if you could read your dedication.
Sure. It's short. To Peter, you are my happy ever after.
Oh,
Peter is my husband. We got married in November, but we've been together for over 10 years. So
excellent. Wonderful.
yeah.
What is your romance writing superpower? I'm going to force you guys to say something really good about yourselves and not feel like you're bragging.
High concept romance with lots of conflict. They're pretty easy for me to come up with. So I'm the one that has 50 ideas for books in my notes because that's not hard. So
do you think that the conflict comes easier to you because of your background in law?
no, I think it's because I grew up watching soap operas.
I love it.
And yeah, The Art of Scandal is actually like a love letter. Like if you read it, everyone says it's soapy, and that's absolutely intentional. It's very deliberate. So yeah, it's my love letter to daytime soaps, nighttime soaps. Yeah. So that reading romances plus watching soaps is how I grew to love romance. So all of my book ideas belong in some soapy romance plot.
What is your favorite soap opera?
Probably it's a tie between General Hospital and Young and the Restless, The Young and the Restless. I liked both of those. And yeah, that was my summer when I was a kid.
I was a General Hospital fan, and maybe you would appreciate this. I don't know if we were watching General Hospital at the same time. Do you remember Robert Scorpio's brother, Max Scorpio?
Mac, yeah.
Okay, Mac, that actor went to my church in Los Angeles. And I remember he sat behind us. And I went to a Catholic church, and it was time to shake hands, which you no longer do because of the pandemic. But I remember I was so nervous, like, I'm going to get to shake Max Scorpio's hand. So I was like, peace be with you.
Bradford Anderson, who plays Spinelli on General Hospital, he married my friend. I was at his wedding.
I was on an episode of All My Children once.
Who was like on the cast at the time? What characters?
Susan Lucci. She was there. I was in a scene with her. Yeah. Yeah, she was there.
With her?
I mean, I didn't talk to her. She was in the same room.
Wow.
Does it count that I interviewed Justin, who was on This Is Us? He came from Partly. Justin Hartley.
He was on Passion.
That counts. Well, that was a fun romp down memory lane. Maureen, what is your romance writing superpower?
So I'm kind of stuck between two different things. I think my most obvious one is my ability to write a lot in a very short period of time, which I have acquired from being a journalist because it's an essential job skill. Because my work schedule doesn't allow me to be a very consistent writer or to write every day. So I'm definitely happy that on the weekends or when I am able to grab time to write fiction, that I can knock out like a chapter or two in a couple hours and, feel like I really used the time to its maximum potential. And then I used to always say that I wasn't a good dialogue writer, but now when I write, I will like go back and I just have like 900 quotes back and forth with no dialogue tags or description. And I have to go back and fix that. So I guess maybe writing that.
What is your romance writing superpower?
I guess my superpower would be writing angst and yearning, having those kind of qualities in the interactions and the characters, I guess.
So would you say that Forget Me Not is a slow burn, being you like the angst and yearning?
I think it kind of is. There's, it's also dual timeline. So you get to see them get together and fall in love in the past, but there's still nothing happening in the present. So it probably doesn't feel like a slow burn because you're getting your dose. Yeah.
Dominic, what is your romance writing superpower?
I think snappy one-liners, especially when it comes to non-binary trans drag queens. For some reason, people love Ujima's snappy one-liners, and I'm like, that's just what goes on in my head. I don't know.
All right,
I mean,
snappy one-liners. Would you say in real life you have snappy one-liners, or does it really just come out on the page?
I mean, I'm gay, so I think it's genetically encoded anyway that you have to have that retort at any given moment. So it's there.
Oh, Dominic. Have you heard? Rom-com meet cute set in retail store dressing rooms are all the rage. Lots of romance authors are writing entire series with sexy and fun meet cutes set in blank. Okay, so now you put down the name of whatever retail store you think has a dressing room where there would be a really cool meet cute. And I just spelled that wrong. How the hell did I do that? Okay. All right, what store do you think? Okay. I almost put Macy's too. For every time.
Look at you. She's winning already.
Now, Hollister, Hollister, that's kind of like, is that equivalent to like, oh my God, what am I, Urban Outfitter type of?
It's like Abercrombie Fitch, but the
It's
stores are really dark. Like there's no lights on in the store.
It's a good one.
So that actually would be the best one.
Do you want to know what I thought this was about?
This
now that I could have gone in that direction. I was just
but then you said retail store and I was like,
But I like the same pair of jeans. Well, Regina, so far you have 2 points. A reader on Goodreads gave Liz Donatelli's rom-com set at a circus only 2 stars and commented, this book would have been way funnier if there had been only one blank instead of only one bed. Okay, and then I'll know, and then we could do our big reveal. Okay, we're waiting for once Regina's done, we will. Who has clown car?
I
okay, only one blanket. I don't know what circuses you've been to, but. A trapeze. Now that's
I almost said trapeze.
Only one safety net. Okay, legit. Tent. You mean like the big top
circus tent? Yeah,
circus tent and a blanket. Well,
I didn't hear the circus part.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Well, then in that case, it makes sense. Okay, so nobody matched. So far, it's still 2 points, Regina. We have to get everyone else on the board here.
Oh, God.
According to Book Talk, the must-read romance is an Amish erotic romance titled Buggies, Blank, and Shoe Fly Pie. Okay. Is everyone ready to reveal what they've written? Okay, go for it. Ooh. Okay.
Oh,
Boobies.
Okay, wait. This is gonna.
I think Regina might have gotten it again.
Bondage
yeah.
and
I think Regina
BDSM.
won again.
I think if you guys. Okay, so we've got. That's right. 'Cause
Finn
B is for
Wishaw.
bondage.
And wish.
Did nobody else say women
Boobies.
talking?
Okay.
It's an actor and women talking.
In the movie,
Yeah,
in the
yeah, yeah.
what the adaptation? Oh, okay. Well, again, Regina got 2 points.
Dang.
Wow.
In this summer's best-selling paranormal romance, a cinnamon bun gargoyle who is allergic to cinnamon falls in love with a stern brunch daddy who is allergic to blank.
I'm gonna
Okay.
lose.
Yeah.
Stern.
I tell you right now.
I
Okay.
went broad.
Okay. Is that
Gluten is so good.
Is it pronounced granita or granita?
Granite.
Granted.
Granite.
He's a gargoyle.
That's good because he's allergic
That's-
to yeah.
I thought that was a drink. I put champagne. I thought you would say champagne. Brunch.
For brunch. That's
Oh,
good.
you know
Eggs
what,
is good and
Regina? I'm not
gluten's
even
good.
joking. I was going to say eggs and
Were
I was
you?
gonna say champagne. And then wait, okay, brunch now.
I feel like Regina and I matched.
Yeah.
Okay, wait a
I went
second,
really
brunch.
broad.
Subcategory.
I don't know. Do we want to honor brunch and eggs? Do we think brunch and eggs is a match?
Why
Although that
not?
would give Regina another point, everybody. I
Oh,
don't know if you
that's
want to.
different. You guys, I'll sacrifice myself and say no. That does not match.
Okay, this is all factual, what I'm going to read to you, except Donatelli Publishing. Donatelli Publishing will release a historical romance set in Boring, Oregon, a real place, during the most boring day in history, April 11th, 1954. This is what it says on History Channel. One protagonist owns an insurance agency, and the other protagonist owns a blank. Okay. Did anyone say a guess?
Actuaries. Good.
I was gonna say actuary, but drilling, boring.
Okay, wait. Actuary. Now,
Actuary and accounting.
a morgue is actually a good idea. I don't know why
That's
for
a
the
good
gas
one.
station. That's probably interesting when they have like people rob the gas station. So wait, now actuary and accounting. That's all. Isn't that all like connected? I'm not.
I don't know what an actuary is. So
Okay, what's an actuary?
I just know people always say it's boring.
Okay, well, you are correct. That is from what I've heard. I think that has to do with finance, though. So
Yeah,
you said
you
accounting.
The financial costs of risk and uncertainty.
Okay,
is-
so
my
finance
gosh.
and also stock market stuff. So what did you put, Dominic? Didn't you put accounting?
Drilling company.
Oh,
'Cause
drilling.
it's-
Wait,
Because
is
it's
it
boring.
boring.
drilling gasoline, like oil for gas? Because maybe that would match with me. I don't know.
Probably not.
Oh,
It's fine.
But you said accounting, right?
I did.
Really? Okay. I would
I've
say that
already
accounting and
crumpled.
actuary, I would give those points. So I would say that Julie has one and then Maureen
Nice.
has one. Whether it's,
Last.
Last again.
I guess that nothing for now.
It's fitting.
Do you want to do one more round? I have an extra one just in case.
Let's get Dominic on the board.
Okay, let's get
It's
Dominic
not
on the
gonna
board.
happen,
Okay.
but it's fine.
I believe in you.
Okay. In the rom-com retelling of Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, the woman in the attic isn't Mr. Rochester's wife, but his wacky blank. Let's do it. I'm going to go last. I want to see what everyone else has to say for it. Go ahead. Neighbor.
Yay!
Guess who matched with
Neighbor.
Liz?
Yay!
Okay, Maureen, now you put a wacky baby, a nanny?
Yeah.
Wacky
That's
nanny.
funny.
I've
What if you
never
have
known a
twin, wacky twin? That would actually be a terrifying.
wacky twin
No,
and
I
a
love
wacky
God.
nanny. I
Like
thought
that.
Find the terrifying rom-com.
so. Dominic got 2 points. Julie, you got 2 for
I
match.
have a question. Shouldn't Dominic have 3 because he also matched Julie?
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. You're right.
But then
So-
Julie should also get 3.
Yes.
which puts us in a bad position.
Yes.
because-
Oh, wow. Okay. Because Julie already had 1. If you have 3, you now have 4. And that means that Dominic, you get 3. Correct, Maureen? Okay. And Maureen has 1. Okay. So now we have, oh man, I don't have another tiebreaker. So I guess it's just going to have to be a tie.
You know,
You'll both have to
2
come back and play
queens.
again.
Yeah, we're gonna come back and battle royale.
This is the
Rematch.
first ever tie.
Yeah.
Thank you, Regina, Maureen, Dominic, and Julie for joining me here on First Date. I wish all of you continued success and happy writing.